Cara, really excited to hear from you. Welcome to the Rupture.
Thank you so much. Thank you to Jay and to Eyebeam for the invitation to join you today. And a huge thank you to Aladdin, Shay, and Paige. My parents were beekeepers, so I grew up with beehives, so that was really fascinating for me on a personal level. So thank you for that. My name is Cara Gilmour, and I am a pale-skinned woman with gray hair, pink and gray glasses. I'm wearing a black turtleneck with 2 strands of red beads, and I'm speaking to you from Brooklyn, the indigenous land of the Lenape people. As mentioned, I am the Executive Director of BAX, which is the Brooklyn Arts Exchange, and BAX is a multi-generational arts organization, and we focus on nurturing creative expression, education, performance, and really artistic process at the intersections of arts and social justice. There are 3 pillars really of what we do. There's education, where we're offering classes for all ages, from infants to adults, with a real focus on creative practice, and arts as a means of equity building. Then we have an established artist in residency program and a space grant program where we offer stipends and a cohort experience and mentorship from Abigail Brody from 600 Highwaymen and Mia Love. And then the third umbrella, I like to call it, is what we call Practice Lab, which really fosters artistry of curriculum building and collective learning, and serves as an incubator for sustainable teaching practices, really, that we're really prioritizing LGBTQAI voices and underrepresented artists, as well as legacies. But a fun project that we have done this year under the Practice Lab has been Rotations, which was actually conceived of and directed by Eyebeam alumni, Yo-Yo Lin and Palenakeke Brown. And that was a web-based series of classes led by disabled artists for disabled participants. So really exploring lineages that were conceived of in a disabled body. So that's been incredibly successful. I have to say, really identified a real need for community across 7 countries, and we're eager to do it again. So it's interesting, BAX is celebrating its 30th anniversary this month. We were founded in 1991. And I think that this particular moment as an anniversary of an organization for decades, but also 1 year of COVID, feels really profound. And in the midst of it all, we're also transitioning from being a founder-led organization to a model of being more of collective and collaborative leadership. So it's been a year. I just started in July, so it's been half a year of really important conversations around racial injustice, around prioritizing artists over institutions, and really rethinking how we function within the nonprofit sector. But of course, a huge learning curve for us has been transitioning to a reliance on technology. BAX is known for being very sort of old school. Yo-Yo recently called our website humble. And much of the infrastructure is held together with spit and glue because the priority has always been to funnel as much to the artists and to the students as possible. So pivoting has been a big shock. And I think that the extraordinary staff at BAX dove in to make it work. And it really became a place of collaboration. And we were constantly asking the artists, what do you need? And being honest about how we could figure it out together. And it really became a new way to collaborate, but also taking the time to acclimate to the realities of our world and the loss of human energetic exchange, as much as anything, as much as figuring out how to work it. I want to take a quick moment just to talk about the work prior to BAX before I circle back around. So before July, I was a senior director at Gibney, which is a larger contemporary dance and performance organization in Manhattan. And my work there focused on partnerships with survivors of intimate partner violence and disabled artists, as well as working individually with artists to develop their own creative practices that explore arts and social justice and what that means for them individually. And before Gibney, I was part of a large public park project, developing a hands-on education and stewardship program for Brooklyn Bridge Park, which is an 86-acre park on the east side of the East River, so the Brooklyn side. And there was really focused on sharing the magic and the beauty of the natural habitat, both the aquatic and land-based, and lots of native species. So of course, a huge communication means was through art. Now, I bring this up because it's really interesting to note that both organizations grew exponentially while I was there. And I was really privileged to be a part of the development of these New York City landmarks, really, in their own way. So Brooklyn Bridge transformed from 8 acres to 86 acres, and Gibney grew from 4 dance studios to 22 dance studios. So massive growth. And one thing I think that I take away from those experiences, is not to be afraid of the entrepreneurial spirit. And I would say that this is in direct contrast to this enduring scarcity model that is so prevalent among artists. I think it's often accompanied by sort of the 1-2 punch of the imposter syndrome, right? Not a helpful duo when it comes to mental health, to sustainability, to flourishing. I'm hearing so much these days that now is the time when we look to artists, right? In times of crisis, artists will lead us. And it's true. History has shown this to be true. But I do think it's a double-edged sword. We look to artists, and I would say that as artists, we know how to lead right now. We know how to make a dollar go far. We have literally trained our whole lives for this. Who knows better how to make something out of nothing, right? We go into an empty studio and we make a dance. We look at a blank piece of paper and we write a story, or we, look at a canvas and we make a picture. Like we know how to create something, and we also know how to collaborate, and we know how to problem solve, right? I don't know if any of you are dancers, but if a lift doesn't work, you figure it out before the end of rehearsal. You try a different side, or you make it work, because that's what you do. So I think it's interesting that we're simultaneously, as artists, being looked to lead, but we're also having to and we're ready, right? But we're also having to contend with this culture that says you must suffer for your art, or you're not deserving, or whatever ridiculousness our subconscious might be spewing. Now, it's interesting because when I think about sort of these organizations that I worked with, and they really have become leaders in their fields, right? The park is this, now people from all over the world study it, and Gibney is, people look to Gibney for different things. And one of the things that made them work was this embracing of unsuspecting partnerships. So for both organizations, it was really public-private partnerships that were the cornerstone of the growth. It was uniting artists and engineers, science and art, balancing commercial ventures with free services, really visioning outside of the established norms that allowed the projects to explode. I do want to acknowledge that much of the growth at Gibney and Brooklyn Bridge did not center BIPOC voices. Much of it did not, as is overwhelming reality of our sector. Both were led by women, and 2 out of the 3 leaders are queer women, so that's some progress. But part of the growth strategies, I think, really were prioritizing equity and access. And I was lucky enough to be a part of those initiatives, working with Title I students and working with many survivors of intimate partner violence at Gibney. But I think that the success of these organizations really is about the cross-sector collaboration as the way out of the conundrum. And that's what I see you doing so beautifully here at Eyebeam. And that's what I see the Rapid Response Fellows really, really, really doing. And I think that it's outside of our comfort zones that's what can lead to transformation. So we as artists can expand lenses and open minds and communicate, yet we also need to peel back the layers of our own mentality and access tools that encourage us to explore new ways and think of new ways. And so Valencia James and the Volumetric Performance Toolbox and the team at Glowbox, they're diving in, and they're really not only creating this groundbreaking space, but also centering equity and access and diverse lineages and innovation, and the priority of these conversations and the leadership of these initiatives from the inception of the idea. They're really steering the ship towards what is becoming unique. And I think that beyond using technology to create digital performance and experience, it's also designed to be accessible in all ways, affordable, accessible to disabled people, backgrounds, races, to all of us, to artists and observers alike. And for me, this is that learning edge, and it's so exciting to watch it. And also I see the exploration going beyond the performative. Really, I'm seeing that this is an honoring of the time and the expense and the collaboration, the investigation that it takes to take a scientist process as well as an artist process and really find the friction that might happen. And that's what's creating the heat that can make this new, really, really, really exciting work happening. So I feel like I want to say thank you. I'm so excited to watch what is coming from all of you as you collaborate in these new and unimaginable ways with new and unimaginable tools, and really creating a meaningful, not only a bridge, but an exchange between the past and the future in a way that I think only you as collaborators can do. So thank you so much. And I can't wait to see what comes next.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for that, Cara. That was fantastic.